Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. I'm so glad you're here, whether you're watching me live on Facebook or if you're catching the replay on YouTube. I'm glad you're joining me. I'm Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am here to help you connect with your people, whether that's crafting together or whether that's you making handmade items to share with them. It's all about making and deepening those connections. So let's get to it. All right. First, as always, we have Friday night Stampin' results. So the winner, cue the Rocky music. That was me with my sketched butterflies card. And I got to tell you, I was pretty happy with the way this turned out. So, and it's very funny because it's always just kind of a work in progress. Like I started with the designer paper and thought, I'm going to stamp some butterflies on it, and then maybe there'll be more on top. And it just kind of built from there. But I do want to mention that the sketched butterflies are on the last chance products list. So if you don't already have them and you love them, and why wouldn't you, you probably want to click the link to my online store and grab a set for yourself. Hello, hello, Penny. Long time no see, since like yesterday. And then Russ actually used one of the very new sets, the Thankful Garden. This was his first time using the masks, by the way. So yay, Russ. He did a great job on that. And I did not help him. I just explained, and that was it. So yeah, so that was a lot of fun. All right. I do have some other little show and tells before we get into our sketch tonight. So as some of you may remember, I went to a Stampin' Up! Event over the weekend with my buddy Penny and our other buddy Chris, and about, I don't know, 120, 150 of our closest friends. Hey, Linda. So we had a blast there. I'm sure you're exhausted, Penny. I know I still am. But couple of little things I wanted to share with you. So first of all, it's been a while since I've gone away, and when I got in the car, there was a cute little gift bag with a handmade card from the Stamper Man telling me that he was going to miss me and to make sure to have all the fun. So that was adorable. Thank you again, honey. Very sweet little surprise. We also were encouraged to make our own name tags, and then they voted on the best. I did not win. I was very happy with my name tag, though, because I forgot all about it till Thursday, so I had one day to make that. But I pulled out my Round We Go rosette maker and made myself a pretty cool name tag, I thought, with my little book stamps. So yeah, that was super fun. And speaking of reading and book stamps, we had a few projects around. It was just a one-day event. And so some of the local demonstrators had done some little side demonstrations, and we could kind of do some make and takes. And one of them made this fun bookmark. Well, we made it. But it is a reading tracker. And I can't believe I did not think to make one of these myself, since I have the stamp set. So every time you read a book, you just color in one of the books until, that could be your yearly book tracker. So I did not count how many are on here. I'll have to do that. And I do need to start filling in because I have read and listened to several books this year already. So another little fun thing we did not get to make. This woman actually made them up ahead of time for all of us. So let me dig into this so you can really get a better view. It's a cute little basket, and it is made with one piece of 4x4 designer series paper. So super, super simple. And I will have to try to recreate it because I did take pictures of her instructions, but she did not have like a handout, which is fine because she went to an awful lot of trouble for us already. Yeah, it's one 4x4 little piece and then a little strip for the handle. But how cute is that? Little mints in there. And this is a new designer paper. I cannot remember the name of it because catalog's not even out yet, so I don't know names yet. And the last little one I got to do was this sweet little bunny. It's just a strip of paper and then you like put, it's scored. I took a picture of those measurements as well. It's scored, and then you just put adhesive on the ends and you tuck them in, and boom. And it's got a little Hershey nugget in there and a little bunny butt. Super, super fun. Absolutely love it. So we had a lot of fun there. They talked some business stuff, but mostly it was creativity kind of things. We did some swapping. I counted, I just separated my swaps tonight, and I have like 10 new fun folds to share with you guys over the next, 10 months, because I do one every month, right? So, okay. So on to tonight's project. And tonight we are working with another sketch. So this week, let me see if I can get this close, but not too close. We are doing this little sketch. So it's basically a card base with a square and a tag, right? So of course, because I have no imagination right out of the gate, I whipped up one that was pretty darn literal to the sketch. So my first thought with a big square like that was, wow, why don't I just take designer paper and make that the focal point of the card? I did not want it to be too boring though, so I did emboss my background with the cane weave, which is also on the Last Chance products list. And then I stamped my little tag, but it says "and thanks." I can't just leave it like that. So I did the "with love" as well. So, but that's a pretty literal interpretation of the sketch. That is not what we're making tonight. We are making we're going to go a little off track, off kilter, not so literal. Can't think of words tonight. But we are going to use our Spotlight on Nature stamp set, actually our whole bundle, because we're using the circles too. And I actually have a sample that I'll show you at the end, but I'm making a slight alteration to it because I decided it needed a little zhuzh. All righty, so that goes that way. So if you'll see a link to the supply list for this card I'm making tonight, and it is missing the Smoky Slate ink because this was something I decided to change up at the last minute here, and we'll see how it works. We'll see which one I like better. But there is this sweet little crosshatch stamp in here, and it's perfect for backgrounds. So I thought I would just take my Smoky Slate cardstock, and I will take my Smoky Slate ink, and I will just do some all over stamping to add some texture to the background. And when you're doing a collage stamp kind of thing like this, it's good to rotate your stamp, right? But rotating your stamp is cumbersome. So rotating your cardstock is a better way to do it. And then your stamps are going all different ways. Okay, that's a little tip. That's tip number 1 tonight. Okay, I did some pre-die cutting, I did some pre-stamping, I did some pre-coloring because you guys have seen me stamp before, you've seen me color before. I will tell you that this is lemon lime twist for the leaves. I used both light and dark. And then in the flowers, I used lemon lolly and peach pie. So we got the peach pie going from the bottom. And yes, we are going to fussy cut. I am not trying to convert you into fussy cutting. I'm very, very sorry about this, but I did want this to be a, kind of an outline. I wanted it to hang off of the circles. So fussy cutting it is, because there's not a die for this. So, and there was something I wanted to do. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about the event while we were fussy cutting. So the event was super fun. It was actually kind of the brainchild of a group of kind of disconnected or orphaned demonstrators that are in the Peoria area. So that was awesome. And then Stampin' Up! Got involved. And so Shannon, who works at Stampin' Up!, she is our demonstrator development manager for the Great Lakes area. So she came out and she was going to, host the event, run the event, right? We had some door prizes. We had some fun little games and things like that. And then when she was talking with Jill at Stampin' Up, who is the vice president of sales, Jill just pulled out of her calendar and said, "Oh, I can make that." So we had the VP of sales at our event as well, which was super great. So she got to talk to us a little bit at the beginning, and the poor woman was losing her voice. She had just gotten back from traveling, I think, and her voice was almost gone. So she kept the talking to a minimum. But then at the end, they opened it up for some Q&A. So we got to ask some questions about products and procedures and, things that are in the works, and, got some good info there. So, and some things that they like, that's being looked at, but it hasn't been decided. We also talked about how far in advance Stampin' Up! Does their catalogs and products and everything. Thanks, Linda. I know. I think sometimes it's better to chat when you're fussy cutting, because then you're not concentrating on it so much and you're not worried you're going to mess up. It's one of the few things, because if I try to cut cardstock, or sometimes if I try to stamp while I'm talking, it's not good. But fussy cutting seems to lend itself to that. But yeah, so somebody was asking how far in advance Stampin' Up! Works on product releases, new products. And they are actually working 2 years ahead on catalogs and product lines and things like that. So so if you ever have suggested something to Stampin' Up! Or to your demonstrator to pass along, don't just be patient, because maybe they love that idea, but they're just still working on it, and it's going to be a couple of years. All right. So now that I've got the main outline, I'm actually going to go in a little bit here and take off some of this extra white in between the leaves. So when you have something like this, it's it's up to you, obviously, how much white you want to leave, for one thing. But the other thing is, I sometimes find it easier to just leave those big chunks and then go back in. There we go. Nice. Hey, that took a lot less time than I thought it would. So that's good. Okay. Now let's go ahead and start assembly. And I might have to grab another liquid glue, because I am almost out. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was shaking this a lot when I was making my swap cards. But I have more, so no problem. I did want to point out, if you have the Spotlight on Nature dies, these circle ones, or if you have something similar that has a heavy detail, like these little cutouts, when I put them through my die cut machine, I tend to roll them forward and then backward and then forward again. I'll do it at least 3 times, and it definitely gets those bits and bobs out a lot easier. Yeah, it's just super helpful. So if you ever have trouble with very detailed dies, give that a try and see if that helps you out. I think it will. All righty, we can go ahead and attach our flowers. And I'm actually going to do this a little differently as well than I did my sample. And I'm going to show you the difference at the end. So I'm not going to worry about the stems. I'm just going to get these big, pot spots, so it'll kind of float above the circles. So that's what we want. We had so many great ideas at this event on Saturday. We did general swapping, which is, you make 20 maybe of one card ahead of time, and then you just swap them one for one with other people. And then we also had a shoebox swap. And the shoebox swap is where you make one sample of your card, and then for this event, we cut enough material for 10 people to make that same card. And then we just wandered around the room and made 10 of whatever card we wanted, as long as they lasted, because there were some that, you'd come up and you're like, "Ooh, I want to do that one." And then it was already gone. 10 people had already made it. So move along. All right. Oh, I need a smaller block. There we go. Okay. So as always, I always give you guys this tip because I don't know if it's the first time you're watching me and I don't want you to miss it. When you have a red rubber stamp and it's like a word thing and you're trying to get it straight, right? I always use the grid paper to do that. So I'll line up my block with a couple of grid lines so I know it is straight. And then with the rubber side up, I attach my stamp to the block and I try my best to look through my block and line it up with one of those grid lines. There were so many cool card ideas, weren't there, Penny? It's like brain overload. Russ was very impressed when I showed him all of my swaps. So we'll see. Maybe the two of us will use that for some inspiration this Friday. Okay, so now when I go to stamp, I actually want that to this end, I think, right? Right. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up. And I'm going to stamp it towards my right end, but I want to, so I've lined my paper up with the grid lines, and now I'm going to line my block up with the grid line, and then I know that my word will be straight. Seriously, you guys, I cannot believe that works every week. I'm waiting and waiting for it because I think I screwed it up on Saturday at the event. So funny. Okay. Now we want to zhuzh up the end of this as well. And I could do my standard slant cut that I like to do, or I could flag the ends. But instead, I'm going to grab my Happy Labels punch, and we are going to punch that. So this one, it's a pick-a-punch. So each of these designs has kind of channels in here that'll fit either 1 inch, 3/4 inch, or 1/2 inch wide cardstock. So you can kind of pick which thickness, which width you have. Which width? That's tough to say. Slide it all the way in there, and now I have a nice little cute scalloped end, if you will. The other one looks a little more like a postage stamp kind of thing in the old days when you had to lick them. Okay, so that is going to go up here. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna attach it, I think, and then snip it. But here's the thing. I need that a little shorter. So I had one more little element I wanted to add. Well, a couple more, but one more to this little tag. So let's try that again. There we go. And this will take off, I think it's like 1/8 of an inch. So if you are really good at measuring things ahead and planning things ahead, which clearly I'm not, you can count on 1/8 of an inch getting taken off of that. Okay, that's better. So now what I want to do, I want to add a little linen bow, because why not? So I think we just need one more little thing, right? So that is going to go just on top of the thanks. And this can be tricky. Like linen thread is super easy to work with, but in order to tie a bow, if you were just using your fingers, it'll loosen up, that knot will. So I always use my little tweezers to hold that in place while I'm doing the bow part. And I also find, I don't know if you guys have ever watched me, but I make my little loop with my right-hand side. I am right-handed. And then I come over the top with the left and through. And that seems to give me a good bow, a good side-to-side bow. So play around with that. If you're kind of frustrated with your bows, that's one of the things that you can play around with, is deciding which hand goes over and things like that. The other thing you can do that I have had good luck with is when you tie your first kind of crossover knot, then turn your cardstock over and tie your bow. And sometimes that makes it lay right. It's weird. I'm sure there's a science. I just know things work, and so I do all the little tricks until I have the bow I like. because I couldn't use my fork bow for that because it was going around. So, okay. So now we can go ahead and put some liquid glue on this. A nice strong adhesive, right? Plop that down. You would definitely want liquid glue on a top of the linen thread as well, because you don't want that hanging out in your linen thread popping off, right? And then I'll just flip that over. Cut that flush. All right, one last thing. We have flat adhesive backed pearls that are also on the last chance list. And since they are, I got to use them up because I don't save things that are retired. So I just decided we're going to add them to this card. And I think it turned out really pretty. So, all right. So we'll put a big one over there. We'll grab a couple of little ones. We'll just make a little triangle right around these flowers. This particular flower stamp is perfect for this because it's got kind of 3 empty areas, right? So there is our finished card. But I will show you the other sample I had, because originally I had the flower going a different angle, and so I did not have room for my tag up there. So instead, I flipped it down to the bottom of the card. So make sure to, do some alterations with your sketch. Do we like the texture on the background or do we like it plain? I think either one works. I don't know what your preference is. So, but yeah, make sure, just play with it. And if you're like me, you might have to make one that's like identical to the sketch and then play around with it and say, what else can I do? Because really those sketches, it's just placeholder things, right? It's just like, it's just a, hey, there's a big thing in the middle here and there's a taggy kind of thing. Very technical, right? So, yeah, so definitely, make it your own. Take whatever liberties you want. Sketches, no, the card police are not going to come after you. Yeah, Penny, I think I might like the texture as well. I do love clean and simple, but I felt like this was a little too clean and simple in the background. So cool. Also, today, I finally got in my hot little hands the brand new catalog. I've been looking at it online for a few weeks, but I held off doing my pre-order until April because I had already met my quarterly qualifications and sales. So I thought I'll just save those sales for April. And now I've already met my next quarter, so that's nice. Yes, so I did mention that the supply list, let me pop up here so I can talk to you better. There we go. The supply list link is in the video description, so that will give you the supplies to make our flower card that we actually made together, or I made for you tonight. But also in my weekly newsletter, I include the measurements and I include the supply list for the alternate cards as well. So if you want more information and more details, it's always a good idea to subscribe to my newsletter. They come every week, usually on Wednesday mornings. So you can look forward to that. There's plenty of detail in there, plus everything that's going on with Stampin' Up. So yeah, okay. The tote is pretty cute. I'm not sure what you talking about, Penny. What tote are we talking about? Yeah. So I think that's about all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. If you got a little inspiration, if you got some good tips, I hope you did. The strawberry slush. Yes. Yes. The tote. Yeah, Penny is talking about this cute little craft tote that is strawberry slush colored, which is a really beautiful reddy pink that we can earn this month with sales. So super fun. I love when they give us little freebies just for doing what we love already. So thank you for reminding me about that. Yeah, so if you've gotten some inspiration tonight or picked up a couple of tips, go ahead and tag your bestie in the comments or share the video with them so that they can learn a thing or two as well. Until next week, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.